Why do we have travel agents? Nowadays everybody can book online, but maybe the travel agents can still be useful. Welcome to my channel, I'm Victor. Hi everyone, my name is Victor, I'm a flight attendant, and every week I share with you some tips and tricks on how to travel in better conditions. I'm on YouTube under Victor Travel and also on Instagram television. And today I wanted to talk about the purpose of a travel agent. Back in the days, we used to go through a travel agent to book our flights, to book pretty much everything. First, we didn't have so much knowledge how it works, and also that was the only way because we didn't have this beautiful thing that called internet. So nowadays, of course, if you just need to book a flight to go to Cuba or to go anywhere, you just go online. There's so many websites, and then you just pick a flight, get the price and the time that works for you, book it, and then you're done. But is it that easy? When you do it online, you act as your own travel agent. Now remember, travel agents study to be a travel agent. They need to get the license, they need to pass some exams, and they follow a bunch of rules and regulations. When you do it yourself, you're your own travel agent, that means you're supposed to know those rules, but you never study around that. So if you just book a flight from, let's say, Paris to Nice in France, easy, you can do it. Actually, that's quite easy, no problem. Now let's say we make it a little bit complicated journey. You're going from Nice to Paris to New York. Well, it's actually quite expensive to book all together, so we decide to book two different tickets, one Nice to Paris and then one Paris to New York. Fine, you can do it. However, do you know all the risks? I would say the main risk around non-direct flights is the connection. If you book two tickets on different airlines, but even on the same airlines, and then your first flight is delayed, when the second airline, the one taking you on the second flight, is not responsible to look after you and then rebook you on the next flight or provide you a hotel or anything, even if it's the same airline. So let's say I'm flying Air France between Nice and Paris, and then this flight has been delayed for weather or issue with the plane or cargo or airport operation, whatever. You arrive too late in Paris to make a connection, and then you can't make a connection to New York. Even though it's Air France supposed to take you to New York, they will say, we're sorry, there's nothing we can do around that. You can pay the penalty to change your flight, or if you miss your flight, we may forfeit the whole fare, and then you have to buy a brand new ticket. Yes, it's not fun, it's not fair, but actually this is what you did by booking two different flights. So if you do so, that's fine, but make sure you plan lots of time in between. Or sometime just try to book everything into one go, into one ticket, and then the airline will have to look after you. That doesn't mean they're going to provide you a hotel. They will if there was a delay or if the delay is due to them. And again, due to them, I'll re-explain that. But if it's weather related, usually they don't provide you a hotel. You will need to get travel insurance for that. Now, let's say your flight's been delayed out of Nice. I want to re-explain that people blame the airline, and the airline will take the blame, but it's not always their fault. I'm a cabin crew, so I see what's happening. You are sitting in the plane, we're ready to close the door, we're missing one passenger. We're paging this passenger everywhere on the airport, can't find them. When we need to remove their bags from the hold, that means, remember, there's a bunch of luggage, we need to find their bag and take it out of the plane, and then we can leave, because a bag doesn't fly without the owner, it's just for security reasons. And sometime after we remove the bag, the passenger arrives at the gate, oh, I didn't hear the page, I was duty-free shopping. The whole thing delayed everyone, delayed the aircraft. But technically, the airline has become late, and it's not their fault. They've been trying to find you. They told this passenger, you need to be at the gate at this time, but he's not there. So we always blame the airline, but sometimes also it's because of passengers. Not all the time, it could be issue with the aircraft, it could be airport congestion. An airport is busy, like a street is busy, an airport can be busy. There's many reasons why a flight could be delayed. So you want to plan ample of time in between two flights if you book two different tickets. But if you don't have the minimum connection, if you say, oh yeah, 1 hour will be enough, remember, you're on two different tickets, you need to collect your bags, go and sometimes clear customs, recheck in your bags, go through security again and go to the gate. That can take more than 1 hour. Airport transit could be different places. Los Angeles got several airports, so you may arrive in LAX, but you may flying out of Burbank. So you need to plan this transit time. Usually the website will highlight it for you, but if you don't pay attention, you might not see that you need to actually rent a car or get a taxi, and it might be quite expensive to go from one to another. Same thing in New York, the three airports, there's JFK, there's Newark and LaGuardia. Quite often you arrive in one airport, you might leave from another one. So be very careful when you book a flight. Travel agent is doing that, but if you are your own travel agent, you need to be very careful around that. Your passport may be valid for 5 or 10 years, but actually it's really valid for 4.5 or 9.5 years. Many countries won't let you in if your passport will expire within the next 6 months. So be very careful, check the validity of your passport, make sure at the end of time you have more than 6 months after the day you arrive in this country, because in some cases I've seen passengers being denied boarding because they say, but I'm going only for 3 weeks, here's my flight. You've got my return ticket. Yeah, but immigration want to make sure you're not going to overstay, and then they want to make sure that your passport is valid more than 6 months. Same thing, check the country website. You will see those rules, or check with a travel agent or your airline. You also need to have a return ticket. Many countries require you to have a return flight when you arrive. So let's say you're going to Australia, the airlines, you're flying from LA to Sydney, the airline in LA, when you check in, we want to see your return flight. If you're not flying back with them, they'll see it on the computer, so they won't ask anything. If you only have a one-way with them and then you're going to come back through another airline to another country, or even by boat, you may take a cruise from Sydney to Honolulu and be back in the US, well, they want to see that because immigration will require to see it. If the airline flies you to Sydney and then you can't prove that on arrival, you'll be deported. Yes, deported, and then the airline will have to pay quite a hefty fine. So make sure that you have your return ticket with you when you arrive at the airport. Again, I find this rule a bit extreme because technically, even if you're not planning to leave, you want to stay legally, you can buy a fully refundable one-way fare from Australia back to the US, and then once you arrive in Australia, you can call the airline, cancel and get a full refund. But it is my opinion, the requirement from many countries to have this return ticket available. Visa, transit visas, there's a bunch of visas that are required and the rules change. So maybe you went to South Africa last year, you were not required to have a visa, and this year now you need one because South Africa decided many other countries now require visa more than what they had last year. So always double check, even if you've been before to the destination, make sure that based on your country of citizenship and your passport, you can enter with or without a visa, and then you have time to do the appropriate requirements. ESTA for transit in the US or Canada, you can do it online, but you need to do it before you depart. And finally, if you're flying low cost, make sure you check all the extra rules they may have about like checking time limit for checking. Usually it's quite earlier because they don't want to waste. They have a quick turnaround, so they can't wait and page for passengers. You need to be at the gate quite early, sometime even before the plane is actually at the gate, but you need already to be there lining up. So be very careful, read all the small prints for low-cost airlines. There's actually a bunch of rules you need to obey, otherwise that can cost you a lot. So as you see, travel agents check a lot of things on your behalf. So I'm not saying you don't need a travel agent. You just take your own responsibility. But if you book everything by yourself, make sure you check everything. Maybe do a checklist from the points I gave you. That would be a good start. And please don't forget to get travel insurance. Your credit card might cover some costs, but it might not cover everything. So keep the travel policy of your credit card on hand. Usually I save it as an ebook on my iPad or my tablet, and then just in case there's a disruption and I need something, well, I know who to contact and exactly what are my rights, what I'm allowed to have, what I can't have. So get proper travel insurance if your credit card doesn't cover everything. It doesn't cost much, but it must save you so much time in delayed bags, delayed flights, hotels and everything. And yeah, please feel free to share your stories on the comments. If you like this video, you can put a thumb up if you're on YouTube. Otherwise, you can also subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye.